Welcome to Football Field Notes. I'm Michael, and this is where I share my love of football. Let's get into it. 3 NFL offenses entered 2026 in very different versions of the same place. In Los Angeles, the quarterback is established, but the offense is being rebuilt to make his job faster, more efficient and less punishing. In Las Vegas, the future has already arrived with the first overall pick, but a veteran may still be the best way to prepare it. And in Atlanta, 2 left-handed quarterbacks are competing for one job, except one of them is still waiting for full medical clearance. These are not 3 ordinary quarterback stories. They are 3 teams trying to make change arrive at exactly the right speed. The Chargers need their offensive answers to arrive faster. The Raiders must decide whether their transition should begin now. And the Falcons cannot make a fair choice until both quarterbacks can participate without restriction. Start with a team whose answer is not a new quarterback, but a new way of helping the one it already has. Justin Herbert survived an offense that asked him to absorb too much. In 2025, he was sacked 54 times, the second highest total in the league. He also faced a league-high 263 pressures. The Chargers used 10 different starting offensive line combinations, and Herbert played the final month of the season with a fractured left hand. Yet he still threw for 3,727 yards and 26 touchdowns. He added a career-best 498 rushing yards and helped the Chargers win 11 games. That combination is the reason for the reset. Herbert proved that he could continue solving difficult situations. The Chargers now need to stop manufacturing so many of them. Mike McDaniel has given the change an unusually clear number. He wants Herbert getting the ball out in roughly 2.4 seconds or less on a regular basis. Herbert averaged 2.9 seconds to throw in 2025. That half second is not a demand to turn Herbert into a checkdown passer. It represents throws with fewer moving parts, a clearer picture before the snap, defined answers against pressure, and completions that do not require the offensive line to hold up indefinitely. The objective is not a shorter football, it is cheaper football that would allow Herbert's exceptional throws to become a weapon, rather than the offense's survival mechanism. 3 mechanisms matter. First, motion can force a defense to communicate and give Herbert information before the snap. A defender traveling across the formation with a receiver can suggest man coverage. A secondary shifting its responsibilities can reveal a zone adjustment. Motion does not solve the play by itself. Defenses can disguise their intentions and exchange assignments, but it can reduce uncertainty and help Herbert understand the picture before the ball is snapped. Second, McDaniel's outside zone foundation can punish light defensive boxes. It can also make the run and pass look similar during the first moments after the snap. Third, condensed formations, play action, and defined intermediate windows can create throws in rhythm before damage protection has time to become a broken play. This is where offensive speed really comes from. It is not merely asking Herbert to throw sooner. It is designing a picture he can solve sooner. The useful training camp question is therefore not whether the Chargers use more motion. It is whether the offense looks coordinated enough for the ball to leave on time, without erasing Herbert's ability to attack downfield. Start with the footwork. Watch where the receivers reach their landmarks in time with the quarterback's drop. Then see whether the quick answer remains available when the defense changes the first picture. If those pieces connect, McDaniel will not have made Herbert smaller. He will have made Herbert's excellence more repeatable. The Chargers are trying to accelerate an established quarterback. In Las Vegas, the harder question is whether accelerating the new quarterback would actually help him. The Raiders used the first overall pick on Fernando Mendoza. That establishes the long-term destination. It does not automatically establish the Week 1 starter. Las Vegas also signed Kirk Cousins, whose connection to head coach Clint Kubiak goes beyond familiarity. Kubiak coached Cousins for 3 seasons in Minnesota, first as quarterbacks coach and then as offensive coordinator. Across those 3 seasons, Cousins threw for 12,089 yards and 94 touchdowns, while completing 67.6% of his passes. Cousins can install Kubiak's standards in real time. Mendoza must prove how quickly he can meet them. For a first overall quarterback, readiness cannot simply mean looking more exciting during isolated practice throws. It should mean controlling the parts of the job that determine whether an offense can function when the defense changes the answer. Watch whether Mendoza can set and adjust protections. Then see whether he can move beyond his first read without turning timing into improvisation. His accuracy under pressure matters. So does the discipline of his next decision after making a mistake. Those indicators are more useful than whether he produces the best highlight of training camp. The decision is also about the environment around Mendoza. A rookie quarterback can be mentally ready while the structure of the offense remains unhelpful. Las Vegas must judge whether its protection, receivers and running game can prevent development from becoming damage control. That is one reason Cousins is not merely an obstacle standing between Mendoza and the field. He gives the Raiders a credible way to separate urgency from panic. Starting Cousins would not mean Mendoza failed. Starting Mendoza would not prove that the Raiders rushed him. The real threshold is this: when Mendoza can operate the complete offense well enough that game experience will teach him more than observation does, patience has served its purpose. The Raiders should not choose the quarterback who makes August feel safest. They should choose the path that gives Fernando Mendoza the best chance to become their answer in September and beyond. Las Vegas can choose its timetable. Atlanta's timetable is partly being chosen by recovery. The Falcons have been explicit. Tua Tagovailoa came to Atlanta to compete, and there are no inherited starters. But Michael Penix Jr. is still returning from surgery on the ACL injury that ended his 2025 season in Week 11. He has progressed through individual drills and 7-on-7 work. But Atlanta's own training camp preview said the true competition remains on hold until he receives full medical clearance. So the first Atlanta question is not which quarterback looks better. It is when the team can compare them under comparable conditions. Penix represents the younger timeline and Atlanta's stronger investment in its original plan. Before the injury, he started 9 games in 2025. He completed 60.1% of his passes for 1,982 yards with 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Tagovailoa brings a larger NFL sample and proven timing accuracy. But he also arrives after a difficult season. In 14 starts, he threw for 2,660 yards and 20 touchdowns, with a career-high 15 interceptions. The contrast is not simply arm strength against accuracy. It is projection against evidence. And both sides contain uncertainty. Kevin Stefanski's offense adds another layer. According to Next Gen Stats, Penix took only 1 drop back from under center in 2025. Atlanta has therefore been drilling the footwork required to connect under center drops with its running and play action game. That makes the evaluation more specific. Watch which quarterback can consistently connect the snap, the footwork, and the route timing. Then see which one preserves the structure when the first read is covered. And finally, ask which quarterback can be trusted to make the same offense function every week. The fact that both quarterbacks throw left-handed is visually unusual. The meaningful similarity is that both must now prove they can command an offense being taught with a new voice. Atlanta is not merely deciding which quarterback has the better training camp. It is deciding how much physical uncertainty, recent performance risk, and developmental upside it is willing to carry into Week 1. If Penix returns without restriction, the competition can become what Atlanta says it is. Until then, Tua is not merely insurance. But Penix is not simply a defeated incumbent either. The answer should be the quarterback whose availability and command allows Stefanski to build one dependable offensive identity, rather than 2 temporary versions of it. These 3 teams are changing for different reasons. The Chargers already have their quarterback. They need a system that stops making ordinary football so difficult. The Raiders have drafted their future. They must recognize the moment when protecting it becomes postponing it. The Falcons have announced a competition, but they must first create the physical conditions for a fair one. Architect, succession, identity. The questions are different, but the test is the same. Can each team make change arrive at the speed its quarterback and its season can actually support? Training camp will supply highlights. The more useful evidence will be quieter. Justin Herbert's timing, Fernando Mendoza's command, and Michael Penix Jr.'s ability to participate without qualification. Those details will tell us whether these offenses are merely new or whether they are ready. Which of these 3 offensive resets do you trust most, and which one carries the most risk? Let me know below. This is Football Field Notes. And as always, thanks for watching.